Introduction to Evolutionary Psychology, Human Adaptive Problems. Professor Michael Botwin, Department of Psychology, California State University, Fresno. One way of looking at evolution and behavior is to look at the broad classes of evolutionary problems that organisms face. David Buss, in our textbook, has categorized these into four broad classes of adaptive problems. Let's look at each one of these. Our first set of adaptive problems have to do with survival and growth. They encompass two broad categories. First, overcoming the hostile forces of nature. We have a rather dramatic picture here of a tornado with a lightning strike. You can think of tsunamis, earthquakes, hurricanes, typhoons, all of those things as very hostile forces of nature. They may include predators, including other humans, and also they will include microscopic things like viruses. I've always told my students that it's not likely that you're going to succumb to an earthquake, but probably to a teeny tiny organism that adapts and evolves very quickly. And if you look at the recent coronavirus pandemic, you see a fantastic example of that, although one I'd rather not have as an example. In our textbook, Buss talks about problems of survival and growth as having to do with getting the organism to a point in its growth and maturity that is capable of reproduction. So this would be raising a child, getting them past all the childhood diseases, keeping them alive and thriving in our current environment. The second set of problems are mating. And these are basically the social and sexual behaviors required to obtain a mate. This has been a broad area of study in human evolutionary psychology and is the basis of many of the things that I do in my program of research, where we study such things as flirting, romantic infatuation, and issues like those. The problems of mating basically have to do with selecting, attracting, and retaining a mate. If you look at our modern pop culture, you'll see that much of pop culture is devoted to the idea of finding someone who can, as the bare naked ladies say, tolerate you and staying with them a pair bond and mate. Now, once you get that far, you hit our third problem, the problems of parenting. The problems of parenting have to do with the care and socialization of children until they're capable of reaching a reproductive age. Now, in our society, recent estimates are that it costs anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million to raise a child. We make a substantial investment in our children. Our last set of problems are those of extraparental kin investment. And we tend to make investments in individuals who are genetically related to us, but not our direct offspring. So we may invest in cousins, uncles and aunts, and other genetically related relatives who are not our direct offspring. This notion led to Hamilton's development of the idea of inclusive fitness, which will be presented in a different video lecture. So, you can see we have a lot of problems to solve. And in the next few weeks, we will attempt to get to some kind of solution with them. Bye now. This has been a We Have Couches video production. Copyright 2020, Professor Michael Botwin, all rights reserved.